Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden 22 defensive plays video breakdown, I want to take a look at multiple blitz setups, 3-4 over sting pinch, and what this one's going to be about, obviously, is going to be a continuation of the sting pinch zone. Rather than showing the zone version of it, I want to show you the man version of it and show you how to get basically the same type of pressure from the sting pinch as you would from the sting pinch zone. Now, obviously, the main difference is this one's man, whereas the other one's zone. And the other thing is you have the two corners on the outside in the sting pinch zone to actually play two deep coverage, whereas here you don't have that. So I want you guys to remember that. And the thing about this particular defense, I don't like this one as much as I like the zone version for that reason, because I'm afraid of getting beat over the top more often than I would if I was running the sting pinch zone. With that said, you can still run this one, and you certainly can put some pressure on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and get into it. And the team that I'm going to use here for this breakdown is going to be the Arizona Cardinals, which just happens to be a team that's definitely caught on as far as a lot of players using them, mainly because, you know, on the offensive side, you got Murray and you got some decent receivers. But on the defensive side of the ball, you've also got some nice players that can certainly bring the pressure on the quarterback, particularly Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt. Both of those guys are studs as far as bringing pressure off the edge. And then if we go in here into the depth chart, I want to show you one other player that I feel is pretty effective as far as bringing pressure. And that's only because of his speed rating, which to me makes him pretty darn effective, especially in the type of blitz that I'm about to show. And this is going to be Isaiah Simmons. The reason I want to show him is because of this speed rating right here, which is a 93. He's actually going to be lined up at the right inside linebacker spot, which makes him highly effective when running these type of defenses that I'm about to show, especially the sting pinch that I'm about to show from the 3-4 over. So I want to go ahead and point him out as well. So let's go ahead and get on the field here. So we're going to run it from the, obviously, the 3-4 over sting pinch. From the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to use the Seattle Seahawks playbook. And I'm going to run this from the gun bunch. Mesh post is named to play. Obviously, the gun bunch is one of the more popular formations on the offensive side of the ball. Now, keep in mind, everybody's going out on the offensive side. Now, one of the things, the first thing I want to point out right off the bat is if you don't have base and line on, you might want to go ahead and do that, mainly because this guy right here, which is going to be the free safety, he's going to be in man coverage on the tight end. And if you don't have base of line on, I don't always have base of line on. A lot of times, actually, to be honest with you, I have it on off by default. A lot of times I'll adjust accordingly based on what my opponent does when I'm playing, but I want to point that out to you. So one of the things you're going to want to do is if you're going to run this and you don't have it on, you're going to want to go ahead and have base of line. If you're playing against, you know, up against the bunch formation, maybe your opponent's running a lot of bunch, then you're probably going to want to put it on all the time. But at any rate, this is what you want, because this is going to put the safety here, the free safety, in man coverage now on the running back. So I just want to point that out to you guys. So that's something you definitely want to do. All right. The other thing I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and make a couple adjustments here on the subs. And I'm going to show you here on the screen here before I get into showing it. Is one of the things that I like about here is J.J. Watt, as I've already mentioned him. He's lined up right here at the left end spot. I prefer him not to be there when this particular formation, and I'll show you why here. So let's get back out of here just for a second. Let's go into subs, because I don't want him there. I actually would prefer him to be at the at the right outside linebacker position. So I'm going to go ahead and sub him out. So I'm going to take him out there, and then I'm going to move him to this spot here for Golden. And then I'm just basically going to flip-flop Golden and Watt and put Golden now lined up at the left end spot. Now, that's going to end up giving me more or less 2 defensive linemen and 5 linebackers. But let's be real here. Watt can play both spots. He can be a linebacker or a defensive end. And I don't have no problem putting him at linebacker and moving Golden over here, because Golden can also play in my opinion, he's good enough to play the left end. I don't know if I'd run this in every single formation, but at least out of 3-4 over, especially the way I'm going to do this setup, that's certainly what I would do. And if you're following along, you know, if that's up to you if you want to do this or not. All right, so let's go ahead and get back on the field here and get into that play right there, the sting pinch. And as I mentioned, we're going to run this against the gun bunch mesh post. Everybody's going out. And I want to go ahead and show you some setups right off the bat. First, let's go ahead and do base of line right there. And then let's go ahead and just run the defense as is without making any adjustments. Now, the defense is designed mainly to go ahead and bring some pressure coming from the linebacker right there. In this case, it's going to be Simmons. Remember, we talked about his speed. So what you're hoping for is that he's going to be able to go through this A gap here and then shoot through the A gap between the right guard and center and apply some pressure. And without making any adjustments, let's just see what happens here. And we'll just go ahead and run this play, and then we'll kind of, go through some stuff that you can do. And here he comes through the A gap and applies that pressure on the quarterback. Now, that's the most simplest setup because you really don't do anything at all. I mean, you just literally just come out, you run it, and that's it. So if you guys are new and you're looking just to get some pressure, this is the most simple setup you can do because you really don't have to do anything at all. However, if you want to go ahead and do what I prefer to do, and that's to make this gap a lot wider so he can go ahead and shoot through it. And this is what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and crash the defensive line out or slant the defensive line out. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my linebackers on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and put them both in QB contain. And now watch what happens. We're going to get a bigger gap where he can shoot through it. And he actually got blocked there, so when I actually did it. But generally, guys, trust me on this, a lot of cases, that's going to be a bigger gap. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here. And go ahead and crash the defensive line out or slant them out. Go ahead and call QB contain. And then we'll see what happens here with the setup here. We should get a bigger gap. There's the gap I was talking about. So that's a real common setup right there. A lot of guys will just do that. Some guys might even just go ahead and crash the defensive line out, and that's it. They may just go ahead and crash the defensive line out and call it a day, and which is fine too because you still get that same pressure. I'm going to go ahead and do base of line right there, and you still get that same pressure as far as with the linebacker. All right, so what I want to do is I want to go through another thing you can do with this. So let's continue off of this. Let's go ahead and call base of line. Go ahead and call QB contain and go ahead and slant the crash the defensive line out. This time I'm going to take control of Simmons, and I'm actually going to manually rush him and use the speed burst to get to the quarterback quicker. Now, one of the things I do want to point out, if you decide to go this route and you control this guy, at this point when he gets about right there, you don't want to hit that speed burst button until you get about right here. So then you can go ahead and start pounding on that A button, or if you're playing on the PlayStation, you hit that X button. And then at that point, you want to go ahead and come after the quarterback. At that point, the reason you don't want to do it too early is if you do it too early, I'm telling you, you want to fall all over yourself and you won't get to the quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and allow him to get in here. And then right there, I'm going to start hitting that A button. And then I end up getting in there quicker. So that's another way of running this. If you want to go ahead and manually pass rush to get some pressure on the quarterback, this is the way to do it. All right, let's continue on with this. I want to show you another setup that you guys can do, or another player that you can use off of this and get some pressure as well. So you get some double pressure. You can get some A gap pressure and you can get some C gap pressure. Let's go ahead and call base line. Let's go ahead this time. Let's just go ahead and crash the defensive line out. And then I'm going to take control of Jones, and I'm going to go ahead and put him in the hard flat. And this is the manual pass rush that I've been showing in some of the other breakdowns I've done that's going to allow me to go ahead and get pressure off the edge here from Jones. He's going to, let's go and clear this. He's going to go ahead and come into this area here, and then he's going to come after the quarterback over here. So I'm going to have, as you look at your screen here, what I'm going to have as you look at the setup here is I'm going to have Watt lined up over here, and I'm hoping that he can use his X factor rating, his X factor abilities to get pressure off the edge over here. And then I'm going to have Jones, who I'm in control of, which is this guy right here, which is Jones, which is the one I'm in control of right now. I'm looking to get that outside pressure from the right side of the offensive line. And then if everything else works out, I can also get pressure from the A gap coming from Simmons right here. Well, he'll shoot through the A gap on his own, and then he'll apply pressure as well. So now I may not get all these guys, but I'm hoping to at least get 2 of these guys in pretty consistently. So let's go ahead and run this and take a look at it and then see what kind of pressure I can get off here. And then right there, I get that pressure coming off the edge. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's the reason I made the subs and all the things I've been showing right off the bat is things you can do to apply pressure on the quarterback with this defense. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. And so we end up getting, I definitely get Simmons in pretty good right there. You can see he's coming through that gap and he's applying the pressure on the quarterback as you're looking at it. So we've got Simmons right here coming in. We've got the guy that I'm in control of, which is Jones, coming off the edge. And then it looks like Watt's trying to fight through. So we've got those guys all coming in, eventually getting pressure on the quarterback. And then we, like we said, we're in man coverage, which if your opponent has some bump and run man beaters or press beaters, that could be an issue. Let's go ahead and do this one more time. Same setup here. And you notice one of the things I didn't do on that other one, I didn't tell you guys to put them in QB contain. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and go QB contain, and that's going to put Watt, as you look on the outside there, he's now in QB contain. And again, I'm going to go ahead and control Jones, and I'm going to go ahead and move him to the inside, and I'm looking to get that same type of pressure here and from the outside here as far as getting to the quarterback. So that's kind of the setup right there that you guys can do if you want to apply some pressure that way. Something else you can try to do if you want, and this is kind of like the sting pinch zone, you can move this guy up, Simmons up in here into the gap and drop him back. And then you can switch off to one of these linebackers here. I'm going to go ahead and switch off to Jones this time and see what happens here. And then you can try to get something like this where you get double edge pressure right there as you see on your screen. So again, you can go ahead and move him up. Now you don't have to put anything else. All you got to do is just move him up, release him, switch off to Jones, and do this. You don't have, notice I didn't do anything else outside of maybe base line you might want to do. But other than that, that's really all you got to do. I didn't do any kind of where I slanted the defensive line out. I didn't do anything where I put the linebackers in QB contain. The reason I didn't slant the defensive line out is because I'm not looking to get A-gap pressure. I'm looking to get outside pressure. I'm looking to get double edge pressure. So there's no need to do that extra couple steps as far as QB contain or as far as doing slant to the outside of the defensive line. You're just looking to, get outside pressure here, and then you're looking to get double pressure on the edge. Here I got blocked, but I still got Watt in on the other side. So that's the other option right there. So again, we can go with this. Go ahead and call base of line. You can go ahead and bring him down. And then you can go ahead and slide this guy over. This is Jones that I'm in control of. And, you're just trying to get to the outside and get some pressure on the quarterback. And hopefully Watt will get in. So that's how you can get another pressure where you get double edge pressure. Now, notice one of the things I never did show in this whole breakdown, I believe I went into press coverage. If you want to, you can do press coverage as well. Something else you might consider doing is doing this. This is going to go ahead and shift the defensive line where you're slanting down, or not slanting down, you're hitting shift defense, and then you're pinching the defensive team as far as the defenders and everything. You can do something like that if you want. That's really up to you. I'm just going to reset this and start from scratch again. But you can go ahead and do that. So you can go ahead and pinch the defense down, such as this, if you want. And there's your setup right there if you so choose. And then right there again, you can go ahead and move this guy down. This is Simmons. I'm not doing anything else as far as slanting the defensive line out. I'm not going in QB contain. I'm just running it like this. So you can do this. And again, you're looking to get that outside pressure there. I'm going to show you something else when you do this. As you watch it, if you go down with this right here and you go ahead and shift that defensive line, you got that right there. And then you can make sure you go ahead and hit your base of line. And then we can do this. We can go ahead and move this guy up. And then this time I'll slant, I'll take J.J. Watt this time, and I'll move him to the inside. And then I'm going to look to get him manually pressure off the edge here. And it actually got blocked. But you can see that, again, that this time was Jones that got the pressure. Let's go ahead and do the same setup again. Same thing. We're going to go ahead and crash the defensive line down. Go ahead and move Simmons in there. Try not to go off sides when you do that. And there's your setup right there. And then you can just try to get, Watt around the corner if you can, and then come after the quarterback, such as what I just showed there. So there's a lot of things you can do here with this defense to apply some pressure on the quarterback, and you can get it from multiple directions and from multiple defenders, which is nice. So, you're just trying to get around here and just trying to get that pressure on the quarterback right there, as you can see. And again, the coverage is man, and that's the one downside of this. If your opponent has some bump and run beaters, for example, he might be able to make a throw deep down here. Maybe he's got this receiver run some type of route where he gets past that, past that defender. You've got to hope that you can get in there fairly quick and apply that pressure on the quarterback. And so I just want to point that out to you guys. When you run this one, if your opponent's got some man beaters, you definitely could have some issues running it as far as with that. All right, well, that's pretty much it with this setups. That I don't think this is quite as flexible as the sting pinch zone is. Whereas, because you don't have the abilities, remember, right, I put the safety and I was able to blitz the safety and all that. That's a lot more adjustments that you might have to make. One of the other things I want to go ahead and show you here, I'm going to leave the running back in the pass block, so I'll run a play out of another play out of this particular formation. Let's just run the dig return, and then I want to show you if the running back was to stay in the pass block, can you still get pressure? So let's just run this real quick and go through a couple of those setups I did earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and slant the defensive line out. I'm going to go ahead and take control of this linebacker. Remember, the running back is staying in the pass block. And I'm just going to take control and I'll run the play. And right there you can see clearly that Simmons gets blocked by the running back. And so that's the deal with that. If he stays in the pass block and you're trying to manually rush Simmons, then you're more likely going to get picked up. So if your opponent starts doing that, then that's when you got to start doing the manual pass rush, not with Simmons, but with one of those other defenders that I showed earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and rush Jones off the edge here. And I'm going to go ahead and run this and just show you that you can do it this way and still get pressure on the quarterback, from Jones. Hopefully you can get around here. Unfortunately, what I talked about earlier about having Watt out there at the linebacker position, he was able to break free and help me out because I didn't get the pressure from Jones as well. Let's go ahead and do the same setup one more time. We're going to go ahead and take control of Jones. And then we're just looking to get that edge pressure off the edge here from Jones if we can get around him, and then we can get in there. So that time we were able to get the pressure, even though this time Watt didn't get through, but I was able to manually get through with Jones. So there's some different things you can do. Despite the running back staying in the pass block, I was still able to get the pressure. Let's go ahead and do the same setup one more time here. So I'm going to go, this time I'm going to go ahead and bring this guy up. And this is what I showed earlier. I'm going to bring him up, and then I'm looking to get pressure from one of these linebackers on the outside. I can tell you right now somebody's going to get blocked by the running back because the running back's staying in the pass block. Oops, let me try to do this here again without something screwing up on here. So there I come in, and I'm able to get pressure from Jones from the outside. So at any rate, those are some things you got to watch out for when you run this. You can definitely bring pressure with this defense. It's just a matter of if they leave the running back in the pass block. If they leave the running back in the pass block, he's probably going to pick up somebody. But if you manually pass rush one of the linebackers from the outside, you should be able to still get in and get pressure on a quarterback pretty quickly. So guys, hope this is a video that'll help you guys out. Just remember, if you run this, make sure you're running it with other coverages as well, and make sure you're mixing it in with the sting pinch zone, maybe a cover two, cover one type defenses. Make sure you're mixing it in or doing some hot routes and stuff like that to make it a little bit better. So again, this is the 3-4 over sting pinch. It's the man version of the sting pinch zone. Definitely a defense worth checking out, and hope you guys enjoyed the video breakdown. Don't forget, if you guys are enjoying these videos and you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. That way you guys get the notifications. Those of you guys who have been around for a long, long time, I enjoy doing this, and I appreciate you guys being here watching these videos for me.